Look at you all decked out.
Hey.
I'm super excited about this. Y'all, Suzette is in Evolution 10X Mastermind. She's the wealth witch, and we are going to have her on very often to have conversations about money and manifesting and magic and all those things because we want to get you making money to the point that you can create that financial independence. Now, I will say, I want everyone to know that Suzette is not a coach. What are you,
Nope.
Suzette? Tell us a little bit about yourself and like where your passions are and all that kind of stuff.
Um, well, I love money, but I'm a writer. So I spend my days doing the things I love, which is writing and spending time with my family. And then I also have a farm. And so I spend a lot of time on my farm with my animals, and I'm learning how to grow things, which is kind of fun. I've in historically been not so good at it. And now I have a whole table of greenery stuff, and it's so exciting.
It's like anything in life, you have to learn the process and it's trial and error. I
Well,
have
yeah.
studied horticulture, right? But and the thing is that it takes more than just knowing how to grow something. You have to like help it find its right environment, and it can be a few feet away.
Hmm.
It's there's always a learning curve. I'm always moving stuff in my garden every year.
Yeah. I had an aloe plant that was sitting in my kitchen window, and it was fine for like a year, but then it turned brown, and I was like, "Oh no, my garden of dead is coming back," because that's what I used to call my stuff because it was always dying. No wonder, right? But
Right.
anyway, so so when I started really understanding manifesting, in fact, I think it was after my first round through E10X. I was like, I need to change that. If I want to grow things, I need to change that. So I changed it. Um, and and I was like, I think that aloe plant needs to be moved because I had a spider plant. It was the first plant I ever got that lived longer than like a month. And so I had this spider plant and it was thriving on my altar. And I was like, I'm just going to move the aloe plant over there because maybe, I mean, the energy is better. I like the energy better. Let's just put it over there and see what happens. All of a sudden, now it's green, it's growing, it's putting out new shoots. It's so happy. And it's been there for probably, I don't know, 3 months now.
They
Um,
have to be
but
moved. They plants don't like this. If they like the sun where the sun where if they like the sunlight where it is in the winter, they're not going to like it there in the summer,
yeah,
right? Like just
yeah,
like us, we have to find our right environment.
yeah.
Um, I pulled a card for us before
Ooh,
because I love doing that.
hey.
And the funny thing is I started thinking about the interpretation that people have around certain suits of cards, right? And this is what we're told. Um, like cups means relationships and love and all that kind of stuff. And I started thinking about how we can take that interpretation and we can adapt it to the questions that we're asking, right? So
Hmm.
today I got the Ace of Cups,
Nice.
which is filled with emotion and all that. But I started thinking, okay, Ace of Cups and the relationship to what we are talking about, because both of us are on this earth to help women really create and facilitate the financial independence that they desire to create that safe and secure environment for them and their family. And so I was like, oh, how perfect. We're talking about the relationship that we have to money. And
Hmm.
I'm always talking about the relationship that we have to oneself. Like we have to recognize on a core level that we are more important than any dollar sign. And that's what's really going to open up that funnel of prosperity. But
Yeah.
I
That
started
was something that was super fundamental, um, is understanding that your worth is more than that dollar sign. And that your dollar signs in your, physical environment are directly tied to what you intrinsically feel.
right. And like, I think about all these women that have done so much work, and I was included in
Hmm.
this. I was so included, like, oh, I love myself. But there was always that
Yeah.
but, or the
Hmm.
thing is that in my subconscious, I had this deep programming that money was going to be my savior. And even though I'd done all the work around like self-love and all that, I didn't recognize how deeply rooted our belief system about money being the thing that is going to create our financial freedom. It's going to give me the financial freedom when I get my business to multiple six. Then I'll finally have the financial freedom. Then I'll have the time freedom. Then I'll have all these things. And we're giving our personal power away to the almighty
Hmm.
dollar.
Yeah.
And then we
To
wonder,
the almighty dollar and those that will give it to you.
right? And I did it for so long. And I didn't even realize it. Like it was deep stories because I was telling myself with my logical brain so many other things like,
Hmm.
no, I'm good, I'm safe, I'm, beautiful,
I love
fitted.
myself. I definitely love myself. I can't tell you how many, like, it's, I did not realize how low my self-worth was because I had done all that work, right? I've been doing work for years on myself. And I have always said that I'm my biggest fan. But until I really understood what you're talking about, how that's just so deeply ingrained in us to think that money is the savior. And if you say that to somebody in society, they're going to be like, no, it's not. You know, uh, some religious thing is probably the savior, right? But because to love money is greedy.
Right.
But but um, it does. We do say all the time, and I've heard coaches say this. I've heard um, money people say this. I've heard all of these people, oh, well, it's not greedy to love money because that's when you're going to have the freedom. It creates the time freedom. It creates it creates this, it creates that. And it's really you that creates that.
Oh my God, you're so right. Like, and I think that's why I hate that marketing strategy, get your 10K months, your six-figure years. Like, I hate marketing strategy that bases your success on the almighty dollar. And I think it's always rubbed me a wrong way. And it does. Like, recently, I've been like, oh, it's like nails on a chalkboard because it is handing, I talk about reclaiming your personal power, and it's just handing over your success and gauging your success on a dollar amount that doesn't matter.
Hmm.
I know women in E10X that will say, I'm making less money now than I did in my corporate life, but I have more security. I have more availability in my funds. I have all this like more freedom than I ever did. And I'm like, that's because it's not the amount of money. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't, $1 million in the bank is not going to change anything if you don't change. If you don't change what you believe to be true about yourself. I've been there. I was just doing a live yesterday in the Facebook group about how I call money terrors, girl. I was releasing cortisol into my body 24/7 because money was the first thing I thought about when I woke up. I'd check my account several times a day. all of my accounts, from credit cards to savings to CDs to my checking account, whatever. I was like obsessed with it. And my cortisol levels were so high for so many years that I landed myself in emergency surgery on a Thanksgiving. I
Wow.
literally said to the doctor, "Do you think that I really need this surgery?" And he was like, "You're dying. That's why I'm here." And I went, "Oh, fuck." The minute after I had that surgery and I came to, I had this sense of like peace and calmness. And I realized that a lot of my fear and anger was gone because they removed an organ that holds that. But it also was
Oh.
the moment that I realized, wow, if I don't change my shit, if I don't get rid of this, I'm going to die. I'm literally going to kill myself. And that was the day that really shifted everything for me and I started looking at what am I like really feeling? Because I had millions of dollars in the bank, but I was in so much terror that I was
Mhm.
literally killing myself. And it
Yeah.
was, and that thread went through everything. It went through my relationship. I had a great relationship, but at the same time, I didn't. I didn't
Yeah.
realize how good a relationship could be until I started doing the inside job,
Yeah. I would say now my best relationship is with myself.
right?
Like before, it was I don't, you can't have a relationship unless you have a relationship with yourself. Like it's just not possible to have a healthy relationship with somebody else unless you have a healthy relationship with yourself.
So I saw this post yesterday online, and it's by a woman I absolutely adore. And she was talking about she's not American, she's Canadian, and her boyfriend loves one of our presidential candidates and the Musk that is attaching to him. He adores him. He loves them. Her boyfriend loves these two individuals. And she was asking for advice like, how do I grapple? Like, how do I um approach this, or how do I reconcile this? And my first question, I think, was something like, does he believe that he respects you as a woman? Right. But I really like, I want to talk about this because for me, like I answered a paragraph of questions, like ask these, like you got to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest things is, what do you require from your partner? For do you want mutual respect? Do you want your partner to respect you? Because if somebody's idolizing somebody who is a felon and rapist, if they are idolizing and thinking this person is amazing, then that is showing that they don't respect women the way they should. And how is that? Where do you play? What part do you play in this? It's crazy to me. It's not. A lot of women that I have worked with end up leaving their husbands, leaving their partners, which is not surprising when we start
Right.
doing this work. Do you see a difference in your ability to manifest money based on your relationships? Like, because I've been married before too. You were
Mm-hmm.
married before. What has changed? Like, and how's that evolved for you?
You mean through relationship? How is it revolved or evolved? I
Yeah.
mean,
So, okay, let me use an example. So, my
okay,
husband has always respected me, but he never respected himself for a long time, right? Like he did, but he didn't. He had a
right.
lot of confusion. We both did. It was like really crazy. Like I didn't realize what self-love was. I would always say shit like, self-love. Yeah, like that really exists. That was me. I was like, you got to be kidding me. No, that it's a facade. Nobody can have
Hmm.
self-love. I thought it was just a made-up concept. So And he struggled a lot internally with spirituality and stuff like that. I look and reflect on our relationship and I'm like, oh, how could we even have respect for each other if we didn't even have it for ourselves?
Yeah.
Not that we didn't love each other, not that we didn't know that we were going to stay together for the rest of our physical experience and probably beyond, but no wonder we were having such challenges with our money. And what
Yeah.
changed, and I'm not going to go into the story, I think I shared the story on today's podcast. What changed is a conversation that we had, a come to Jesus moment with him, where I was like, you got to get on this train. It's leaving the station. And if you don't, our marriage isn't going to make it. Not today, but it's not going to make it for the long haul. And so he was like, you're
Right.
absolutely right. I'm getting on it. But when I reflect on that and then what I see what has happened now, we live together, but we are totally different entities. Like I know that if he passes, I still will be here and I will live on, right?
Yep.
I am not attached. I know that I don't have to make him happy, but I also know that I do things because I love him, but I'm
Right.
not responsible for his happiness or his emotions or any of that. So I see this like mutual respect, like, yeah, you're good. You got this. You can do anything that you want. I'm not responsible for
Yep.
any of it.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. That's exactly how we are. Like, we are completely separate entities, and we have a lot of self love, but then we also have a lot of love for each other and respect for each other. We have different values. We have different money mindsets. We are completely, in fact, and so bringing it to the money mindset thing is he has, I almost have the opposite view of his when it comes to how to grow money and manifest money, and uh, save money, use money, like money in general. Um, but it's funny because I heard one time, man, this was a long time ago. I may have still been in the church when I heard this, but the number one thing that couples fight about is money and finance. And I believe that's true because it's an energetically charged thing. You know, we've put so much, going back to our earlier conversation, we've put so much power and worth into that dollar sign that it's worth more than us. And it's not, but we put that value on it. And so I can see why that would be something that most couples fight about. We we sit down and we do our budgets together, like as a household. We also have our own thing that we do too. Um, I go through and I do financial projections and such, and then I bring those to the conversation. Um, and then I don't know, he does his own thing too, and then we both just bring everything to the conversation. And it could be a tense situation. It could be something that is causes friction in a relationship, but it doesn't. Um, I think a lot of times my money habits drive him crazy because I just know that it's going to be there. And so um, I don't necessarily approach saving, for example, or spending a large amount, the same way he does. I just know it's going to be there. And so I just go and do the thing that I want to do or get the thing I want to get.
And it's so often people justify buying a house, but not investing in themselves. And that there's
Yeah.
this misconception that buying a house is an investment. It is not an
It's not
investment.
an investment.
It is not. That like
It's a
people,
liability.
it
It is
is.
literally a
It's
liability.
owned by the bank. You do not own it until it is
Yep.
paid off. You do not own it. And it's like the
Well,
worst
even then, you're
investment
still
you can
paying
make.
property taxes on it.
Yeah.
So it goes from being owned by the bank to being owned by the government.
Yeah.
And that's a whole
It's,
different topic,
I
like,
know, but it's our perception. Like we love
yeah,
owning a home and we bought a home because we wanted one, right? Oh, But so many people think we are taught that it's an investment. We're taught from capitalism that it's an investment. So
Hmm.
when we really stop and slow down and start looking at how we're spending our money and our belief systems about what we're spending it on and what we believe, like there is no return on investment in a home. None, absolutely none. Like
Nope.
it is not when 30 years from now, when you sell your house, it's going to be worth 3 million because you've probably laid 3 million into it. Um,
Nope.
but I really think like it is that perception that is totally subjective. What is high ticket? What is a lot of money? There was a time when I would have thought $300 in a month was a lot of money.
Oh, definitely. There was
But
a time, yeah,
right? And now I'm like, oh, 10K for my cat to go through the vet for after his trauma. Yeah,
right?
fine. Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. Sign that. It's going to cost this just to take him in. It's going to cost 550. Okay, good. Done. There, it's paid for. Right? Like
Yep.
our perception, I think that and I do this within the program too, is when I say like, do you think you could manifest $10 this week? Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, what about 1,000? Yeah, I probably could. Okay, what about 10,000? And people are like, "Mm." That's saying that more money is harder.
And it's
It's all
not,
the same frequency. It's all the
it's
same,
not,
like
yeah.
change your concept of what is.
So
Yeah.
this is a good story. Uh, so a long time ago, right after my first divorce, well, my only divorce, and I was a single mom, I had an infant, and I remember at the time, I wasn't really worried about the money, but I had $0 coming in. But I wasn't really worried about the money. I had just started walking down the manifesting trail and I had just started self development because I realized through my divorce that I needed to. I was also kind of on the cusp of um, Christianity. Like I was kind of walking away from it because I grew up in a very, very conservative church. Um, and so I was kind of walking away from it and I was just exploring other things, right? And I remember saying, it's okay, I'll find the dollar. And I would find a dollar on the ground every single time I walked out the door. I mean, not in my doorway, but I'd be walking my infant son down the street because we'd go for walks around the town. Because what else am I going to do? I didn't have a job. And so we spent a lot of time outside and I was like, oh, let's go for a walk so I can find money. And I totally did. I would go for a walk and within, before the time I got back, I would find money. It was crazy. But I never thought it was a possibility to find more than like $5.
Mm.
So I remember one time I found a $10 bill outside of my insurance office. And I was like, oh my God, I found a $10 bill. That's crazy. I must have been really powerful today. And it's so funny because what's the word I'm looking for? Not conception. Yeah, it is conception. Whatever it is. That the $10 was worth more. It was harder for me to get, right? Um, because I had only ever found like $1 or $2 or whatever. But this leads into when I first joined in E10X and I had like what $4.97 or something like that in my account. And we were talking about your perception. That's the word I'm looking for, perception. Um, and we were talking about the perception and I was like, no, my reality is, I mean, I could show it to you right now. There's $4 and whatever change. And you're like, yeah, that's a story you're telling yourself, like that's
I
your
went through,
perception.
did it, been there. This is the hardest thing. Like, I think that what we're talking about now is one of the hardest thing for women to really get a grasp of because we say, yeah, 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 I get that. But no, it says this in my bank account. And it's like it says that
So
because
hard. Yeah.
that's your perception. Like
Yeah.
it's never going to get any bigger. You're like, but here's the thing that I really like to think about. Single mom, broke, no job, right? We have been through, and I can honestly say every single person that is listening to this podcast has had it harder. It is never going to be harder than that time that it was so freaking hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, never going to be that because you've done the work to help yourself understand that you're safe. You're never going to have that hard of a time. But we always forget. We remember so many things from our past, but we forget that we lived through it. So, like for
Hmm.
me, there was a time in my life when I was so broke that I was like eating out of soup kitchens and like eating government cheese and shit, right? I don't, and I got to where I would hoard canned foods and like pastas and stuff because if I ever didn't have any money, then I would at least have something to eat. Because there were days when I would just eat rice, and I call it rice
Hmm.
surprise. So you'd get rice, and the surprise was another serving of rice, right? So I've been in that broke ass spot.
Hmm.
I remember being in that broke ass spot. And I remember what it was like and the hardships and all that kind of shit. But what my subconscious wasn't telling me was, yeah, that's the hardest it's ever going to ever be. The hardest it's ever been, will ever be. And you lived. You lived.
Yeah.
Look now. You have a home, you have enough money to pay the
Hmm.
mortgage, you have enough money to pay the electricity, you have food on the table, you have gas in your car. Your life isn't fucking half bad. What's the worst case scenario at this time in your life, right? It's not the money because you've had it harder.
Yep.
It's not because you're getting older and you wouldn't be able to do the things that, you were able to do back then. Bullshit, because I'm never going to be in that position again. But it's
Right.
so funny for us because we're like, I never want to be that broke again. Yeah, well, you're never going to be that broke again because you're not that person. And I really want people to think about that because you're not going back. You're never going backwards. You're always going forwards. And it's not the money, right? Like I've had extraordinary debt since then. I paid it off.
Yep.
I've had a business that made 10K a year. I grew it, right? Like it's so curious to me that we forget that we made it because we're
And
so
how far
focused on a
we've
future that
come.
doesn't exist and
Yeah.
going, oh, I haven't made it yet. I haven't created that success yet. It's like, yes, you have.
I feel like there's two extremes, and I feel like most people are on one of them. They're either focused on the future that hasn't happened yet and the business that they're going to create, and they'll be happy then. Or they're so focused on their past that they can't move towards the future. They're so focused on that time that they were that broke and they're living in fear that they're going to do that again. Or they're focused on that divorce that happened or that sexual assault that happened or that whatever traumatizing event that they can't they say they want to heal from it, but all they do is just continue chasing healing modalities. And if you're stuck in that space, you can't grow. You can't heal because you're still convincing yourself that you need the healing.
That you're
And as
not,
long
you're
as you're
saying,
sitting
telling yourself,
there,
exactly. You're not telling
yeah,
yourself you're healed. You're telling yourself, I'm healing and I need to find that magic elixir. I see people
yeah,
chasing certifications, chasing strategies, chasing all those like Reiki, breath work,
mm-hmm,
tapping, all these things to try and find healing where they are great tools to use, but healing happens when you make the decision that you are healed.
yep, yeah,
And it doesn't have to be hard or
it
difficult or
doesn't have
take
to
a
be
lot of
hard
time. It doesn't have to be painful. It
because it
happens with
comes
a
from you.
decision.
Like you are the power. And that's, whether it's healing or it's manifesting or it's happiness, you are your power. It's all from within, which is why that self love thing is so important.
Right? That's what reclaiming your personal power is just like accepting 100% who you are, but then also knowing that this is only a body.
Hmm.
This is the body. This is the facilitator of that manifestation. You fucking manifested this body.
Yeah.
You fought out of all the souls and incarnations in the universe. You fought to be here for this time and you won. You got this body. So, what the fuck are you going to do with it? Are you going to sit
Yeah.
around and bitch and complain and moan and groan that you don't have what you want? Or are you going to get to work and manifest and live out in aligned action the work that you came here to do? Because this is your only
Yeah.
opportunity in this lifetime.
Yeah. I'm going to say something controversial.
Do
If you're
it.
not willing to do the work, you don't get the right to complain. We have an election coming up, right? And my son asked me because I don't like the candidates, and he goes,
Who does?
"Well, are you going to vote?" And I was like, "Of course, it's my responsibility." And so we were having a discussion about politics and government and the U.S. and such, which is great because I homeschool. So history's done.
Bada bing, bada boom.
But anyway, so I was telling him, I was like, here's here's what I believe is if I don't vote, I do not have the right to complain for the next 4 years. Like, regardless of who I vote for, I don't have the right if I do not give my voice to complain. So if I'm not willing to do the work into the healing and claiming my personal power, then I don't have the right to bitch and complain about my circumstances.
Mm-mm. And I see a lot of women that are doing the work still bitching and complaining and
Hmm.
whining and groaning and that's a learned behavior
Yeah,
and the self-deprecation. It's all based in so much self-deprecation. And yeah, I see it. So you're a witch.
yes,
I'm sure you work with the moon.
yes.
By the time people hear this, the new moon will have passed, but there will be a new moon coming upon us every month. I've been really thinking about, so strangely enough, I have always resonated with Sir Soul, with the sun. He's always been
Okay.
my like
Yeah.
instigator. The moon, yeah, sure. I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever. And I've worked with the moon energy, but I've kind of been leaning a little bit more into the moon lately.
Hmm.
And I know that new moons are wonderful for manifesting off of. What are some like little tidbits that you could, or even like ritual hints or whatever that you like use to tap into this, to new
Yeah.
moon?
So, um, I also love the sun. I'm with you on that. Like, I am a warm person. I love sitting in the sun. In fact, a lot of my best ideas come from just sitting in the sun. But there's that yang to it, which is the
Mhm.
moon. And I'm really in the beginning journey of astrology and moon work and such. Um,
Okay,
because
here's
other
what I want to
than
say.
full moons,
Let's leave out
um,
the astrology part of it.
okay,
Let's just talk
okay.
about your intuition and what it tells you because you're super
So,
witchy.
um, for the new moons, it's a great time for manifesting and calling new things in. So, especially when I want to start a new project, um, I will try to align it with the new moon. Um, Something I'm doing for this new moon is, in fact, I'm actually doing it on Samhain, but um, I'm going to create a prosperity bowl. I just did a blog about this. I posted it yesterday.
Ooh, let's link
Uh,
it. Let's link it.
yeah. Okay.
We'll link it in the show
Um,
notes.
okay, cool. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use white, but I don't care what color candles. Like, this is about intuition. Magic is about intuition. Spells, rituals, they're all about your intention and your intuition. And that's another controversial thing because everybody's like, no, you have to do it this way. And if you don't do no, it's about your intention. And so I'm using white candles because that's what I have.
I love it. I have a bunch of my Baba Lao will give me a list of the candles I need to use for our connecting and dream time. So I have those, but
Mhm.
then I have a bunch of like spare ones and I'm like, today's a yellow day.
Yeah,
Today's right. It is
absolutely.
number one. Always, it's about it, the most powerful thing that you have, the most powerful tool you have on this earth is intention.
Absolutely.
Number one.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So
So
you're making a prosperity bowl.
I'm making a prosperity bowl. I'm going to set the candles at the cardinal points. So I have four candles. I'm going to set them at the cardinal points. I'm also going to use tea lights, but that's because I'm going to let them burn down. And I don't want flames in my house
With all the children.
for days with children and dogs and cats and the fire hazard. Let's use tea lights. So I'm going to use a glass bowl, but you could also use some sort of earthy bowl or a metal bowl.
Okay.
And I'm going to put the moon water that I made on the last full moon. Uh, Yay!
That was from a blue moon like last year in
Okay.
2023, but I've been
Yeah,
recharging it for this one.
perfect. So I'm going to use the moon water, and I'm going to put red rose petals in. And I kind of went back and forth on the color on the petals, and it's really, again, your intention and your, what your intuition says. But I liked the red for multiple reasons. It brings in passion, um, and I don't remember the other reason, but I chose red. Um, and then I'm going to use bay leaves. And on the bay leaves, I'm going to write the the financial or the money prosperity that I'm looking to bring in. I'm going to put them all in the moon water, and then I'm going to light the candles. Oh, and I'm going to use rose quartz, pyrite, and moldavite. I'm going to put them around the bowl inside the candles, not in
Bada
the candles, but
bing.
yeah. And then I'll light the candles and let them burn out.
So this particular moon and most moons, but this one's really special to me. Maybe I should post this on Friday. I have them all set up. That would mean three podcasts come out. Maybe I will. I don't know, but I this new moon is really special to me because I celebrate Dia de los Muertos. It's my favorite holiday of the year when the spirits are most active. It also is the beginning to Diwali, which is I was married to a Hindu for years and I still love a lot of the mythology and stuff. So it's the beginning of Diwali and it's a new moon. And this is an intense one. It's like a no shit. It's like don't fuck around. Like this, the beautiful thing I have found with new moons is half of the ability to manifest is because they call you to do the no shit shadow work. It's like, go deep or go home. Like if you want to manifest,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about like, oh, I'm going to do the light little stuff and the fancy ritual. It's like, no, you got to really look at what's holding you back and what you want and do the work. So, so for
Yep.
this particular one, because it's Dia de los Muertos, I am pulling out my craniums. I don't know if you can see her. Oh, not really, because Shalia's back there. She's my
Yeah.
cranium that has been programmed to me. She's a wonderful ancient. So she and I have her. I have many different altars. So I have I have a cranium candle. And then I have marigolds. So she will get her own platter and her own altar, and then I'll wrap her in marigolds. She loves crowns. So I'll have to make her a
Mm.
floral crown. And she likes to have crystals in her eyes. So she always has those. She's so spoiled. Doesn't like being super pretty. She's like me. She likes being practical, and she likes pretty things, but she doesn't like blingy things. But
Gotcha.
She's into practical, not luxury. But then, yeah, she will have candles around her, water around her. She will most likely be sitting on a bed of flower petals and sea salt and all that kind of stuff. Um, I love the ritual aspect of it, of the new moons and the
Hmm.
special occasions and the gateways and the portals and all that kind of stuff. But I do believe that people sometimes get caught up in that aspect and forget that they're the ones that hold the power.
Yeah. Yeah. They forget that it's their power and they forget about the intention side of it. And
And they
they think it has to
simplify
do with
it.
the ritual. And if you don't do the ritual the way it was supposed to be done, supposed to, then it won't work or
Yeah,
you'll
there's a
call in
right and
something
wrong way to
bad.
rituals.
Like,
I
okay.
think that people, I think we have been taught that do the ritual, set the intention, and then leave it.
Mm,
But
hmm.
it's like okay, and I'm calling myself out because I used to do this all the time. The lazy way out.
Hmm.
Yeah, well, I set my intention, I journaled, and I, set up my altar. So why isn't anything coming to me? Why isn't there a check in my mailbox? Well, what did you
Yeah.
do to create that? We still have to do shit.
Yeah.
We just want to hope and wish and pray ourselves into manifesting more money.
So I have some digital courses out there or classes that I have done. And one of the things that I say is, and I got this from a mentor, if you want something in your life to change, you have to change something in your life. You cannot, and then I expand on it, you cannot just hope, wish, and pray and sit on your fucking couch watching TV and eating bonbons, and all of a sudden millions show up in your freaking bank account. That's not how that works. It's good that you have the intention. It's good that you're showing gratitude. It's good that you're, you know, having a positive attitude. That's fine and dandy. But unless you're going to actually take that inspired action, you are not going to have millions in your bank account. In fact, you won't have anything in your bank account.
I love that because one of the things that in E10X, we have the business building, like the brainstorming calls.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're having one. And my first question out of the gate is going to be, what did you do this week in your business? What did you do?
Yeah,
I know that you and I and Ankara Rose are doing Black Friday offers,
yeah.
right? And it's like, okay, I didn't say I'm going to do a Black Friday offer and then just sit on my ass and do nothing to create
And
it.
hope it comes to you and
I just
creates
hope it
itself.
works out. I'll just send out a few emails and then everyone's gonna, right? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
no, okay, I finished the sales page. I got the checkout pages. I'm starting on the emails for the purchases. And then I start the work.
Yeah,
The work that means promoting it and sending out emails to my email list and all that kind of stuff. Like, I don't think that it's magically gonna sell itself.
yeah. Because it won't.
Well,
Nobody can buy something they don't know is available.
right?
Like it, and I used to be guilty of this. Like I used to do this a lot. I would put out something and I would put it only in my group, which was very small at the time. I mean, it's still, moderately sized, but it was pretty small at this time. It was like 20 people. And I would put it in my group and then I would wonder, and I would just do it once because I didn't
Okay.
want to spam anybody, like, and then wonder why I sold nothing,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, this doesn't work. I must need a new method.
And then I used to do this. I used to be like, I'd promote it for a few days, and when nobody signed up, then I would just be like, "Oh, I'm not going to do it."
Yeah. Oh, I guess it's not aligned.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's not
It just
aligned.
doesn't feel
Let me
aligned,
try something different.
right? It doesn't feel aligned. I'm not going to sell it. It just doesn't feel right anymore.
Right.
Yes, I totally get that. So, okay, so we're getting ready to sign off for the day. I want everyone to know that you can check the show notes for Suzette's blog post about that she was talking about earlier. We will have a link to our Black Friday offers if she hasn't done by the time this comes out, which will be probably close to Black Friday and the next new moon.
Cool.
So it'll be closer. And then, um, yeah, just stay tuned because Suzette and I are going to be on talking about manifesting money and having conversations like this to help give you more insight to the way you might be thinking, the perception that you might have about your own business, your own ability to manifest, and even like what you believe business to be. Because while Suzette is not a coach. She is definitely a business owner because she's an author. That means she has a business that she is building as well. It's just not coaching. And guess what? She has to do the same stuff that any other business owner does. Okay.
Yep.
So hopefully, come into the group, come into the Cosmic Coven and tell us some of your takeaways from this, what has shifted for you, what you would like to see change. Come in and stay accountable. We'd love to hear from you so that we can support you. And as always, thanks again. Thanks for showing up, Suzette.
Thank you so much. This has been fun.